Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Padave Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Sadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vaja Patitana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sai Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranam devotees. So I'm answering a question for someone which is really not per se in the purview of really what these questions and answers are about, but the person is a sincere aspirant as well, and I don't want to shy away from necessarily answering things just because they deal with more secular or external pragmatic things. So I did answer a question the other day regarding something about the social environment and all of that. I don't want to really start a trend of questions and answers based on that, because I think there's adequate forums to discuss that and to deal with that. At the same time, I don't want to act as if that if something is important to someone or they want to ask a pragmatic question, that I bypass their query in lieu of the fact that I don't believe it's spiritual enough or something. I don't want that ever to become the case. At the same time, I do more prefer to generate the questions towards our internal interest per se. So, but this devotee is asking a question, and I'm going to answer it because the person is sincere. So the question was basically threefold. I'm definitely not going to be able to give a whole extended thing. This is going to be rather concise. And the question is kind of one: is it important for devotees to understand survival preparation, I'm sorry. Survival preparation, the need to understand, maintaining health, yeah, that is important. And lastly, is it inconsistent as part of your preparation for devotees to own or have firearms? That seems to be controversial, since everyone says one should just depend on Krishna. So let me start at the top, kind of. So actually, I think I can encapsulate all three things in one. Back during the millennium thing, when there was this Y2K thing, I'm going back that far. Once a devotee asked my Guru Maharaj, how should we prepare for that? And what should we do? Should we stock food? Should we, make arrangements to secure medicines? And just various questions. And my Guru Maharaj said, very simply said, be prudent and chant Hare Krishna. So I've always taken that to be sort of the baseline understanding of how to deal with the whole concept of preparedness and everything related to that. So be prudent and chant Hare Krishna, I think really is the clearest indication of how we should conceptualize dealing with material things like being prepared, the fact that we do run into emergencies, even just natural emergencies, what to speak of any society-induced emergencies or whatever, just weather issues and other things. So being prepared for taking care of yourself and your family, that's just kind of common sense, and something that's part of any mature perspective on living in the world. So I don't think there's an inconsistency of understanding that with understanding Rakshishiti Goptrave Varanam Tata, that the elements of Saranagati are that Krishna is my maintainer and my protector. So there's not an inconsistency with being prudent and pragmatically dealing with things related to the material world and understanding that the ultimate outcome of anything and everything is based on Krishna, and that my surrender to Shri Krishna is the ultimate shelter that I have. So the two things are not opposed, or the two things are not contradictory. Prudence and understanding of being surrendered are not, they're not competing with each other. So yes, it is important, especially if you have family, or even for yourself if you're a single person, that one should maintain this sort of dual perspective. And actually Mahaprabhu told to Raghunath Das Goswami, contextually it was slightly different, but antra nishtakara bhaya lokya vyavyahara. One should internally be fixed in their bhajan life and in the aspiration to obtain their sadhya, their goal. And bhaya lok vyavyahara. One should deal with the external world appropriately. So that Gurudev hit the nail on the head by describing that as being prudent. So yes, long story short, if you have family or you're single, as I said, and you need to consider having some preparation for emergencies that could arise due to weather, due to social issues, or whatever it might be, I don't see any inconsistency with doing that and being Krishna conscious. Secondly, as far as health is concerned, you will definitely attest, I will attest, and I'm sure many devotees will attest, that we wish, and many have, but certainly we wish, that we had been more prudent about health considerations as we were growing older. And now, more or less, we're in a lot of devotees are in the fourth quarter, so to speak, meaning that, they're in their 60s, 70s, so forth, so on. And, in many cases, there's some health challenges and things like that. So you kind of think, well, yeah, certainly I wish I had been more prudent about health. And certainly now I'm focused, on, how to maintain my health, because being healthy allows you a greater capacity of service. So the health isn't all about just absorption in the self or my selfish interest, but health is a consideration for rendering service to Sri Guru and Krishna. So there's no inconsistency, again, with being healthy and having considerations around your health and serving Guru and Krishna. Now, if this or anything else becomes, so absorbing that it starts to detract from the internal development, then you maybe need to make adjustments, reconsider, to reprioritize things so that this doesn't become consuming or overwhelming. There have been cases where people have gotten involved in something, whether it's another kind of modality or whether it's around survival and all these kind of things, and it's become so consuming that everything is about the next preparatory step. I need to get this, I need to get that, who has, who doesn't have, and all these kind of things. So you don't want it to grow to that level. You just simply want to be prudent, and I'm going to keep using that word, and chant Hare Krishna. So foundationally, chanting Hare Krishna is everything, and external prudence is part of that. Just like the other extreme are devotees who say, well, just chant Hare Krishna, surrender Krishna, and everything will happen. Well, no, because those same devotees will exercise prudence. Nobody says that we should go on Harinam in a lightning storm when there's a hurricane. The same devotees don't say, well, I just won't do any grocery shopping. I won't do anything at all. I'll just depend on Krishna, and, my life will be maintained like that. So, there is a borderline between understanding what is Saranagati and being irresponsible. So, we also need to put focus on the other side of that perspective. Too extreme with the idea of survival, self-preservation is one thing, and too much lack of prudence and ultimately irresponsibility as far as these things are concerned is another issue. As far as firearms are concerned, certainly There are a lot of considerations that go into that. It's a personal decision for one. I can't advocate whether you should have one or not have. That's a completely personal decision, and there are things that you definitely have to consider. One is the legalities. You need to know that wherever you're living, and this particular devotee lives out near the Midwest, so I wouldn't imagine there may be problems, but I don't know. So you need to check all the legalities around that so you don't find yourself dealing with things that's going to interfere with your Krishna conscious life, just in terms of, trying to manage, quote, preparation. So first check all the legalities. And then if you do decide to own a firearm, you definitely need to be trained. There are safety issues that are obviously there. And owning a firearm is different from being able to safely and adequately use a firearm. So yeah, you need to take that into consideration, that certainly that's going to require some training and also requires maintenance. So it's not that, I could take a class one time and I'm good to go. Firearms is a skill. The handling and using firearms is a skill, and that requires some maintenance. So you need to take that into consideration. Certainly, there is some prudent factor, and it's again not inconsistent with being Krishna conscious, being a devotee, if you decide that I want to have a firearm. So, but again, also the understanding is there that in the ultimate sense, everything will be according to Krishna's desire. So, again, I'm going to address the other side of the fence on that, is that, well, everything is Krishna's desire, so there's no need. We can't say that either, because prudence, again, is a factor. So, Bayalokya Vyavyaha, if you feel that there is a need, a genuine need for some reason or another, that's part of your personal life space, then that decision should be yours. And there's not an inconsistency with making the decision in the affirmative to have one and being Krishna conscious. So I'm not going to, I wouldn't give sway that, oh, well, all the devotees say, well, no, that's not Krishna conscious. Because some of that may be their influences from their own past regarding how they conceive of life. And, because I've had discussions some time back with devotees, and some devotees have come from a culture of, that's very anti the idea of firearms and everything else, peace, love, etc., may be the case, and they just don't see a space, and they can't reconcile such a thing. So again, it's an individual thing, and again, I'm just giving the prudent factors. Certainly, you need to understand the legalities for one. You need to be trained for two. That training needs to be maintained to some degree, it depends on those factors. So if that's something you feel that's needed for yourself and your family, then by all means follow what I just mentioned and go accordingly. There's a great responsibility, obviously, in owning a firearm or carrying a firearm if you're talking about concealed carry or something like that. So you need to just be aware of all those kind of things. So bottom line, as Srila Gurudev said, be prudent and chant Hare Krishna. So I don't think I have so much more to offer in that regard. Again, I'll say that everybody's decisions around how they choose to do these things are personal. And I don't think there's really an arena for combat or arena for conflict on these things, because they are individual considerations. Somebody may say, no, look, I'm just not going to have anything to do with any of that. I'm just going to, quote, depend on Krishna, right? That doesn't give them a status in bhakti that's superior to somebody who says, oh, I'm going to try to be self-sufficient. I'm going to try to grow my own food. I'm going to try to be more, attentive to my health needs. I'm going to arm myself for protection of myself. So none of that is inconsistent. So, but extreme absorption in either side of those fences it could be detracting from bhakti. So, just be mindful. Antranishtakara is the essential principle. Let me focus internally, and then be prudent as far as the external world is concerned. So I hope that's quick and And Prabhuji, my Dhanavad to you and your good wife and to your family and to the kids. And hopefully that was helpful. And Dhanavad Pranam. If I ever do, not ever do, but hopefully in the future we get to start traveling again. Hopefully I will see you and your family if I'm able to come out in that direction. All right, Dhanavad, Hari Bol. Jai Radhe Radhe.